Hey, how's it going? Welcome to video 2 of the ChatGPT 101 series. I'm Jason and I own Impact Consulting, and I'm excited to be working with you on this. This is going to be pretty fun. So we're going to build your first custom GPT today. This is going to be an assistant that you use in your company for whatever role that you need, but it's really going to show you a lot about how you can customize and work within this platform and with LLMs to really get a lot done, where it really becomes a force multiplier for you. So it's not hard to do. It's very similar to what we did in the first video with customizing your organization. Let me open this up here. So you're going to start out here on your main screen. And to get into this, you go over here to GPTs on this left side. And in this screen, you're going to have the marketplace, and then you're going to have the My GPTs, which are ones that you've already built. Those are the ones that are here on this side. And then if you don't have any of those, or you want to make another one, you hit the Create button. And then this is going to take you into the creation window here. You've got the option to have an AI assistant help you build as you go, and it'll fill in the information, which is a good option. I like to use the configure option. It gives you a little bit more control over the specific aspects of it, and makes it easy to see what you're working with. So from here, the areas we're going to fill in, we're going to give this GPT a name, a description of what it does, and then specific instructions on how you want it to behave, the role that you want it to have, outputs, things like that. That's really where we're going to focus on here in a second. And then conversation starter, so you got some quick start buttons that you can put in there. And then this part here for knowledge is really important also. This is where you would load up any reference documents that you would want your custom GPT to have, so it can really dial it into the role that it has. And then down below, there's some options here, capabilities that you can give your custom GPT. So for this, we are working in the O4 model. I found that this works best for designing like this. So check that little drop down, make sure it's in 4.0, and we'll go to the first step. So the very first step is to write the prompt that is going to create the personality. So there's a lot of nuance that goes into prompt writing. They call it prompt engineering. It's really just having a conversation. You're talking with another AI assistant. So you want to give it some background. Context is super important. So who it is that you're talking to, what their role is, what their background is, and what you want them to do, and what you expect the output to be, as well as what you don't want it to do. So constraints are important as well. So I've created this prompt here to create custom assistants. Feel free to screenshot, copy this. If you screenshot it and put it into ChatGPT, it'll write it all out for you, so you don't have to type it, which is a cool little trick. But what I did is I told it that I want this custom GPT to act as a world-class recruiter and HR specialist with a background with Fortune 500 companies and startups for high-performing talent. And the reason I tell it that is because we're essentially hiring somebody into the company. And so you want the best person, and the best person to describe the best candidate for the company is somebody with this background and experience. So where LLMs have a very broad, massive knowledge database, when you start to focus them in on, I want you to pull from the knowledge that's specific to HR, recruiting, high performance companies, it starts to focus in that knowledge to where you get better results. So that's who we want this agent or this GPT to behave as while it writes this personality profile. Then we're going to tell it what we want it to do, write the instructions for a custom GPT that'll function as, and this is where you fill in your blank. I'm going to make an operations manager. This HR person's role is to create the instructions and personality profile of an AI assistant position in my company. So it knows it's making an AI position and not actually hiring somebody. This will be a custom GPT assistant that will help me do the following. This is where you break out the details of what you want this assistant to do. So this is an operations manager. It's going to write operational documents, standardize processes, systematize my operations, find efficiencies, and help with workflow. Outputs, SOPs. It's going to write SOPs. It's going to write our operations manuals. Style, I want no nonsense, high value, no emojis, graphic bullets, text speak or SMS messages. I don't want to have it talking to me like I'm talking to my kids. I prefer to work collaboratively, so ask me questions to clarify and do it one at a time. I found this trick's important. Ask it to ask questions one at a time because otherwise it'll give you a whole list. Then we want to give this assistant a name and some personality. So make them friendly, warm. I want it to greet me as Jason. When it starts, because I like to converse, it sets my mind right to have a conversation. If I think I'm talking with a person, it kind of tricks us into behaving like we're talking face to face, which is good. And then the constraints. Always reference our company documents. So the documents that we uploaded in the initial build of the customization of the full GPT, as well as what we're going to load into here. And then when possible, do research on the topic. So it can reach out to the internet. So it can go look for more information for you. And then I wanted to model responses on best practices and industry leaders. Now here's something unique you can do. You can actually name people. So if you're creating a marketing specialist and you want it to behave like Don Miller's StoryBrand, then you would put in here reference Don Miller's StoryBrand, and it's going to go find all the information on the internet about that and use that in its personality. So that's a super powerful trick that you can use. And then I tell it never to fabricate, ask for clarity when it doesn't know, because they will fill in the gaps. They will hallucinate if you don't give them instructions. So that is my prompt to create the personality profile. So we're going to copy and paste that into another blank GPT. Now remember that this GPT here, even though it's not a person, it still has our overarching information about the company, about our goals, about me. So it's going to use some of that as it builds this personality out as well. So we're going to give it that prompt, and this is going to give us the personality for our custom GPT. So I named it Avery. I don't know why it picks crazy names. Trained to support strategic growth, systematize your company, world-class HR, through precise documentation, efficiency, systems, drafting SOPs, auditing workflows, recommended improvements, operational tracking. It even gives sample quotes in there, the voice and clarity first. So we can take this and you can adjust it, obviously, put things in that you want. It gave an SOP structured format. That's cool. So data sources, uploaded links first, secondary research, don't speculate, ideal use case. Cool. So now we're going to copy this and we're going to come back here and we're going to give this to the instructions. And it always puts some preparatory stuff in there. We can get rid of that. Get rid of that. And so we name this one Avery, call sample so I know to get rid of it later. This is the operations systems manager. And so for conversation starters, we can do write an SOP. We can do update manual, and let's say evaluate workflow. And that'll get Avery asking questions and thinking along the lines of what you want to work with. And now here is where you give your custom assistant some knowledge. So you go to upload files. I'm going to go to over here. It's all photos. And so whatever documents are important, like if it was brand guides, style guides, sample writing, SOPs that you already have, policies and procedures, like any of that, you would want to give to your custom GPT. So these are all PDF files or text files that I've made. Let's give it the audit, SOP and guide, and we'll give it the scoring report. And so it's got some details in there. So load those up, and then this becomes a localized knowledge base for your assistant. So then once you hit, and then scroll down here first. Make sure that web search is on. Canvas is a good one. The way Canvas works, and I'll do a demonstration, is that it gives a pop out. So as you're working through a project, a canvas gives you like a notepad on the side that you can get more detailed on the one project and still keep the main flow of the conversation going. If you're doing any coding or building with web pages, that code interpreter and data analysis, or if you're running a lot of spreadsheets, you'll want to click that on. And then there's additional settings. I uncheck this because I don't want it to train. I want to keep my content private. So uncheck that bottom there under additional settings and then hit create, and we can hit save. And then this is going to be your own personal custom assistant. We go to view GPT and you'll see that Avery now shows up over here. Well, it should show up. Well, I don't have any conversations with her, but it's on my GPTs. So tell me about your role. And so this is what Avery does, which is basically what we just gave it in the instructions. But it is also drawing off of the knowledge database that I gave it. So the impact audit benchmark is something internal, a service framework, different offerings that I have, and then version control. That's good. So in a canvas, that's workshop, client onboarding sequence with 7 videos for ChatGPT 101, because that's what I'm doing right now. So this is where the canvas pulls out. So you see the pop-up here, and this gives you additional options when it's working in a canvas. So pulls it over to the side. There you go. It's giving me my series here. My videos are a little bit different than this. All right, so there we go. It gave us a full onboarding sequence here. And now in this canvas, we have some other options. You can download it, you can share it, and then you can copy it out if you're using it in something else. So what's kind of cool is on the downloads is that you can go direct to PDF documents now and Word docs. So you can pull this canvas down directly to a PDF document. To share it out, you can create a link. This just shares what's on this screen. It doesn't share the rest of the thread. So it only shares what's on the canvas portion. So if it's a document that you're collaborating with, you can send that out. And then you've got suggested edits, the length, the reading level, adding emojis. But yeah, that's Canvas, and it's super helpful. You can rename it here. So you do that. And then if you want to go back to just talking and working with Avery, you click out of it and you're back in the main thread. So that is how you create a custom GPT. And then over here, let me see, if we go to GPTs again, you're going to see in my GPT, we now have Avery who's in there. And so you can come in and you can delete it or you can edit it. We can add a picture if you want to give it a personality. And then you can create those for just about any role that you need. And it's a super helpful workflow. So I've got a couple that I work with. I've obviously built a lot, but I've got a couple that I work with consistently. Like I've got an SOP writer, I've got a wordsmith, I've got a strategy director, and those are the ones I communicate with most. Something to note about memory is when you're working with custom GPTs or just the threads, anything down in this chat thread here on the left-hand side, it's going to be able to read across those for a period of time. Not all of them and not in full depth, but ChatGPT does have better memory now, so it's going to be able to remember some of the conversations or some of the facts that you've talked through in previous chats. It will also ask to update memory, or you'll see it update memory. If it sees something or reads something that appears to be a core document or a core thought for the company, it'll update that into your more permanent memory database. So it's super handy that it now remembers those conversations. But keep in mind that the longer the conversation goes, it's like a conveyor belt. Some of that memory falls off the back end, and that's when you start to get some hallucinations. So you can tell it to refresh and go read everything again. You can export to documents and load up documents and have it read from the documents. And then you can load up like we saw with the custom, which you can get to from over here, custom databases. You can load up more permanent knowledge through there. So hopefully that helps. Hopefully you got something out of that and you can create your first custom AI assistant, and it helps you get a lot of work done so you can go do something you enjoy doing. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out, jump in the Slack channel. You can message me on LinkedIn, and I'd be happy to help out. If you've got ideas or thoughts on this and how we can make it better, please let me know. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video.